Good men often behave in emotionally abusive ways completely by accident, and it happens for two reasons. One is that they never learned how to regulate their anger properly, and the way that they express or cope with anger frightens the people that they care about. And second is that they become very skillful at emotional suppression. And a man who's really good at suppressing his own feelings tends to be very successful. He can do hard things, he can power through, he can be a great leader. However, in his relationships, it creates this emotional blindness where he really can't see or understand what the people he loves are feeling. And when he does that, even though he tries to help and support them and listen, they end up feeling unheard, unloved, they feel manipulated, they feel controlled, and yes, they even feel abused. It's really important for you to know that this is not intentional. If you've been emotionally abusive, I'm going to go through and I'm going to give you 5 clear signs so you can tell, have you been doing things that were emotionally abusive in your relationships? But before we get into those, I want to be really clear that if you're doing these things, it's not your fault. You're not a bad person. You're not a horrible husband or a horrible father. These things arise because you were never taught, as a child, you were never taught how to process anger effectively, or how to process big emotions without suppressing them or desensitizing yourself to emotional experience. It's not your fault that you didn't learn these things. However, it is your responsibility now as an adult to change the behaviors, the harmful behaviors that are damaging your relationships. It takes so much courage for you to be here, for you to even be watching this video and having this conversation, listening to me right now. I want to honor you for the courage you have. The fact that you're even here, that you're willing to look at this, which is a really hard thing to look at inside of yourself, that just tells me what a good man you are. That you are willing to do the hard work, to look at your darkest parts, at your shadow selves, to be able to be a better husband, a better father, a better future partner. And I am just, it takes, most people don't do it. That's what I'll say. Most people take the easy way out. They blame everybody else. They play the victim and they don't take full responsibility for their behaviors or the harm that they've caused in their relationships. That's not you. You're here asking really hard questions. So be kind to yourself as we go through this video. And if you recognize any or all of these 5 signs in yourself, don't use that as ammunition to judge or shame yourself or beat yourself up. Instead, this is an opportunity for you to change patterns that have been wired into you since you were a little kid. And it's an opportunity for you to have happier, healthier, more deeply connected, intimate relationships in your life. So you are a courageous man for being here, and I very much look forward to exploring this with you together. Okay, so we're going to lump these 5 signs into 2 different groups. So if you have dysregulated anger, all that means is that you don't really know how to manage your anger. And what you probably do is you ignore it and you bottle it up, because that's, what you do with anger, right? You don't let it out. You don't let it influence you until it gets to a point where you just can't contain it anymore. And usually men do one of 2 things. Either the anger boils over and they do lash out. They yell, maybe they throw something or they hit something. Most of the men that I work with in my Better Beyond Divorce coaching program, the ones who have been accused of being controlling or narcissistic or emotionally abusive, they'll say, look, Rachel, I never hit her, but maybe I yelled, maybe I hit the wall, maybe I threw something. He's like, I would never hurt her. I would never harm her. So that's one group. The anger boils up and they lash out with their voice, even with their body, but never against their spouse. And the second group doesn't lash out. They hold it all in. And even when it passes that tipping point where they can't hold it in, they still hold it in. And these are the men who think that they don't even yell. They'll say, look, Rachel, I've never hit her. I don't even yell at her. And yeah, sure, I get angry sometimes, but I don't ever let it out. The thing about anger is when you're activated, there are all of these physiologic changes that happen in your body that signal to other people that you're angry, even if you're not yelling or acting out violently. So your jaw will get tense. There'll be this tension here, and you can hear it in somebody's voice when they're just speaking through that tense jaw. The little muscles around your eyes will change, and your eyes will actually start to look very flat. They'll lose their expressivity. Your voice as well will lose all of these nice flowy tones, the sing-songy cadence of a calm, relaxed human voice, and your voice will get very flat, and you're speaking very calmly, and you're being very calm, and you're not raising your voice, and you are not yelling, but you can hear how the tone of your voice becomes very monotone. There are all of these little changes, even the way you hold your body, the tension in your neck and shoulders, in your hands. You might even be clenching your hands into fists and not even realizing it. So all of that is happening, and the people around you respond to it. And this is not unique to human beings. This is a subconscious reaction that most mammals have. So if you guys picture dogs, I am a dog person, and we've got lots of dogs around the house. And if you've got a big dog and the big dog is mad, what do the little dogs do? Unless it's like a Jack Russell who has absolutely no fear. Most little dogs tiptoe around the big dog. And it doesn't matter. Like, we have a little dog here named Gargamel. And it doesn't matter if Skipper, our big dog, is mad at Gargamel. He might not even be aware that Gargamel is there, but Skipper is in a bad mood. Gargamel avoids him. He goes and lays down. He goes to the other side of the property. He doesn't go near his food. He's like very careful. And this is because Skipper is bigger than him. And whether Skipper's mad at him or mad at something else, it doesn't really matter, because if Skipper turns his anger on Gargamel, Gargamel's going to get hurt. He's smaller. He's no physical match for Skipper. And so if you think about human beings, men on average have about 30% more muscle mass than women. They are generally bigger physically than women are. And so there is a big dog, little dog dynamic. And it doesn't really matter if the big dog, if you, the man, is angry at the woman. You might not even be mad at her. You might be mad about something that happened at work. And a lot of men get like in their heads here because they're like, why is she afraid of me? I'm not even mad at her. She's afraid because you're the big dog who's mad. And there is a innate, automatic, subconscious fear response that the smaller animal has when the bigger animal is angry. And we are very sensitive, all of us mammals, to those little physiological signs that somebody else is upset. Because I need to be careful, especially if that someone else is bigger and stronger than me. Because if their anger does accidentally get directed at me, I could get hurt. And it took me as a woman a really long time to understand how much this was impacting me in my marriage. My husband's bigger than me. He's 6 feet tall. I'm 5'6". He's stronger than me. And I'm aware of it. Like, even just playing around or wrestling or, in good-natured fun, he is so much stronger than me. He's never hurt me. He's never yelled at me. He has been amazing as a partner in that he never gets angry at me. He gets angry at other things, though. And I was having a lot of fear towards him, even though his anger was never directed at me. And it took me a long time to understand how much of that was this innate fear response, because he's just a bigger animal and he could be dangerous. Even if he never has been, that potential is there. And so when I now am aware that this is happening, now I can observe it. I can notice, oh, I'm feeling some fear. He's angry. I'm feeling this fear response. Now I know what it is. And so now my logical, rational brain can come in. I can regulate my fear. I can calm my nervous system. And then I can be present with my husband even when he's angry. But most people have no idea this is going on. And then even if we did know, most of us have never been trained how to actually regulate our systems and get out of that fear response. So here you have couples, you've got men who are human beings and they get angry. Things happen. Of course you get angry. If something awful happened at work, or your wife did something that really pissed you off and pushed all your buttons, or the kids are just overwhelming right now, right? Of course you get angry. So your very natural anger triggers an equally natural fear response in your wife and often in your kids. And these situations just escalate because over time, that continued fear response in them starts to erode the trust and connection in your relationship. There's a distance that gets created. The trust and love between you gets dissolved by that undercurrent of fear. And it's a cycle, because she gets afraid and you feel abandoned. Right? You feel misunderstood because you are being misunderstood. You're not even angry at her. And here she is acting afraid of you. And so as you feel more misunderstood and unseen, you're more likely to feel more anger. Right? That's a natural human response to feeling misunderstood, is to get angry. And then you get angry, she feels more fear, and we get stuck in this cycle of anger and fear. And so if this is happening to you, it's because you never learned as a child how to regulate your anger in a way that allowed you to stay calm and grounded enough to help those around you feel safe. No adult ever sat down with you when you were a 5-year-old boy feeling just really angry. They didn't sit down and they didn't say, hey, Tommy, wow, I see you're so upset right now. You know what? It's okay to be angry. I'm going to be here with you while you're angry. And I love you. And we're going to get through this anger together. They didn't tell you it was okay to feel it. They didn't teach you how to calm your system and be present with anger without losing yourself, without acting from the anger. And they didn't teach you how to respond calmly and rationally instead of reacting out of the anger you were feeling. Those are skills. And no child can learn those skills by themselves. So when you get angry and you get put in timeout, or you get swatted on the behind, or you get told to, shape up, young man, all of those things, like, none of that's helping you actually learn how to deal with your anger. It only teaches you how to suppress it. So then you grow up, you have this dysregulated anger, and the people around you are afraid. So there's 3 signs that you were unintentionally emotionally abusive because of dysregulated anger. The real reason that you wake up at 3 a.m. with spiraling thoughts about your soon-to-be ex-wife is because the divorce triggered a massive activation in your nervous system. You are stuck in a fight, flight, or freeze response. The thing is that our bodies were never meant to stay in fight or flight for more than about 20 minutes. And here you've been in it for days or weeks or maybe even months, and it's taking a toll. That's why you can't focus at work, why you snap at your kids or send off angry texts to your wife, and it's why your whole future seems grayed out. You don't need to change her mind to get out of this fight or flight response. You just need to learn how to regulate your own nervous system. When you do, you'll feel calm, confident, and clear again. In my free masterclass, I teach you the same nervous system regulation tools that I have used successfully with over 700 men going through unwanted divorces. It's a skill set anyone can learn, and it will transform not only the way you feel, but the way you respond to any curveball that she might throw your way during this difficult process. Click the link below this video. I'll see you in the masterclass. So there's 3 signs that you were unintentionally emotionally abusive because of dysregulated anger. The first sign is that you've been accused of yelling when you didn't think you were yelling. So your wife is like, you always yell at me, and you're like, I'm not yelling. Or even in the moment in an argument, she's like, you're yelling, and you're like, I'm really, really not yelling. What she's picking up on is all that tension in your jaw, that flatness in your voice, in your eyes, the shoulders, the fists. She's reading anger in your physiology. And because it triggers that fear response, to her, it feels like you're yelling. So if you've been accused of yelling when you weren't, that's a sign that you were unintentionally emotionally abusive because of your dysregulated anger. Second sign is fear. If your wife and or children have expressed that they're afraid of you, that's a prime sign that that dysregulated anger was triggering that fear response in them. And the third sign that I see a lot, because I work with men going through unwanted divorces, is sneaky behavior from your wife or soon-to-be ex-wife. So things like leaving you without any warning, taking the kids, trying to keep you away from the kids, filing bogus restraining or protection orders, refusing to talk to you or have any contact with you during the separation or divorce. All of those like sneaky soon-to-be ex-wife behaviors, people tend to think that like they're manipulation and intentional cruelty, but those are fear-driven behaviors. People act in those sneaky ways out of self-protection, and that's a clear sign that that dysregulated anger was triggering that fear response in her probably for a long time. And so her, because she's not aware of what was going on or why she felt afraid, her brain assumes that she has very good reason to be afraid of you, even though what she was really experiencing was just this physiological big dog, little dog fear response. And so now she's extrapolating that out and acting in these sneaky ways to protect herself from you, even though you aren't the threat. So that's dysregulated anger, but there's a whole other area where men can be emotionally abusive and not even be aware of it. And that's through emotional blindness due to emotional suppression. So a lot of little boys, in addition to not being taught how to regulate anger effectively, they're also taught to suppress the things that they feel. So if you're afraid, if you're hurt, if you're sad, you need to suck it up. You need to man up. You need to get back out there, get back in the game. Don't let them see you cry. Don't act like a girl. Right? And so men tend to get really, really good at shutting down and suppressing and not feeling their own emotions. And this can actually be a really successful trait for a lot of men. It helps a lot of men perform very well at their jobs and in their careers and in different sports. But in relationships, it's kryptonite, because the way you relate to your own emotions tends to be the way you relate to other people's emotions. So if your default mode is to suppress what you feel, you're going to expect other people to deal with emotions in that way. So what this looks like in a marriage is your wife comes to you and she's had a bad day and somebody said something that really hurt her feelings and she's crying and she's talking about it and you're trying to fix it, right? And you're like, you know what? It's okay. Like, you don't have to worry about what that person thinks, or, like you're trying to problem solve. You're like, you know what? If you just went to your boss and you said X, Y, and Z, I bet we could change this whole situation. And she's like, you're not listening to me. You're not supporting me. Right? She doesn't feel heard because you're looking at the situation and you're saying she shouldn't be feeling sad. She shouldn't be feeling ashamed. She shouldn't be feeling afraid. Because if you felt sad or ashamed or afraid, you would shove it down and get on with it and solve the problem. That's what you were conditioned to do. And it worked really well for you for a long time, but it's not effective emotional processing. All of those emotions are getting like stuck in your body. And we actually know now from studies on different body tissues and even at the cellular level that suppressing those emotions actually causes damage in your body. It's very stressful on your physical system, and it can actually lead to a lot of chronic pain, chronic illnesses, to constantly suppress emotion. So it's actually healthier to feel and express and process an emotion and then move forward from it. Now, I'm not saying that that's necessarily what your wife has been doing. A lot of women do the opposite. Men tend to suppress. A lot of women tend to feed their emotions. So instead of processing it in a healthy way, she's like adding fuel to the fire and just feeding it and feeling it more and more and more and growing it. So it's not necessarily that she was like doing it right and you were doing it wrong. It's just that you were both never taught how to process emotions in a healthy way. But you're processing them unhealthily in opposite ways. You're suppressing, she's overfeeding. And what it feels like to her is that you don't care what she feels. And you don't think she should feel what she feels, which might be true. You might be like, there's no reason to be sad about this. Just get over it. Right? Like, this isn't that big a deal. You need to just move on from this. But when you discount somebody's emotional experience and you say you shouldn't feel what you're feeling, they experience that as I shouldn't be who I am. This emotional experience is part of my actual reality. It's part of who I am. It's part of my experience of being alive. You're telling me I shouldn't have that, which means I'm not doing it right. And you might have heard this from your wife or your ex-wife, that she feels like you're judging her, that you think she should be different, that she's not good enough, that you're not listening, that she shouldn't feel what she's feeling, that she shouldn't do what she's doing. She feels incredibly judged by you, and you think you're just trying to help. That's that emotional blindness that comes from suppressing your own emotions and then expecting everyone else to suppress theirs as well. And the two big signs that you were unintentionally emotionally neglectful or even emotionally abusive through that blindness, through your own emotional suppression, are if your wife would say things like, you never listen to me, if she feels unheard and unsupported. And second, if she complained of feeling alone in the relationship. When our emotions aren't acceptable to the people that we care about, it makes us feel very isolated. And this is true for men too. You might have experienced this. Like, if you have the dysregulated anger and your wife was afraid of that and she punished you for it, withdrew, attacked you back, it probably made you feel really lonely in that relationship, right? Because you were being misunderstood and a part of your experience, your emotional experience, was going unrecognized, unvalidated. Right? So this is a two-way street. It's never like you were the bad guy, you did all these horrible things. It's that you lacked some very specific skill sets that you didn't get as a child because your parents didn't know how to do it either. And now they've impacted the way you show up in your relationships and the dynamic and the cycles that you had with your wife. The beautiful news is that these are just skill sets. Anyone can learn how to regulate anger. Anyone can learn how to process emotions in a healthy way and become more emotionally intelligent and emotionally responsive to the people that they care about. They're just skills. It's not that there's anything wrong with you. It's not that you're a bad person. It's not that you intentionally caused harm. It's just there's some skills that nobody ever taught you that you need to learn. And that's why I made my free masterclass. My masterclass walks you through the exact same emotional regulation training that I do with my coaching clients. So I've helped over 700 men in my Better Beyond Divorce coaching program. And this is where we all start. The masterclass will show you how in 30 days, you can actually learn, and maybe not quite full mastery, but get a really solid handle on these skills of regulating anger and processing emotions in a healthy way. And what you'll see is as you learn that, it will completely transform the way you communicate. But it's not even so much the way you communicate, it's the way people respond to you. It's not the words you say, it's those subconscious signals that your body is putting out. When your jaw is no longer clenched and your voice is no longer tight and your eyes are no longer flat and your fist, when all of those signals of anger aren't present in your body, when you can have a wave of anger, take a breath, drop into your body, process it, be with it, and then soften. Now you can communicate. You can even express what you're angry about, but you're not signaling danger to everybody around you. And the sad thing is that when you're in the anger and the anger has like hijacked your brain and your body is signaling danger, other people can't, they're in fear. They can't respond to you, they can't support you. And so you don't get what you actually need in that moment of anger. But when you can regulate and ground yourself and process your anger in real time, now you can actually express what you're angry about. You can have productive conversations, you can ask for the things that you need, and the people around you will stay with you because they'll feel safe enough to have that conversation. These are just skill sets. So come with me into the masterclass. There's a link below this video. I'll lay out this 30-day roadmap for you so that you can build these essential skills. You never have to be accused of being cold, manipulative, controlling, emotionally abusive, not listening, not being emotionally intelligent, all of that. You don't ever have to deal with those accusations again. You just have to learn these skills, and it will transform the way people react to you. And the beautiful side of that is not only is it better for them, but it's so much better for you because they can hear you now. And you actually can be supported and feel welcome and cherished and loved in your relationships. And that's the transformation I get to see my clients that I love. It makes me so grateful to be doing this work with really courageous men like yourselves who have stayed with me for 22 minutes of looking at really hard, really painful, difficult patterns in yourself. Thank you so much for being here with me, for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the masterclass. Let's build that skill set.